From service to strength, from questions to choice, guidance you trust, HerVetVoice.
Hello, YouTube. Happy Friday, and welcome back to HerVetVoice, where every voice matters and every veteran matters too. So, hello, everyone. Tonight we are going to be discussing one of the most important secondary condition cases veteran needs to understand, right? The Spicer versus McDonough. If you've ever been told that your service connection condition didn't directly cause another disability, but it made that disability worse, or delayed treatment, prevented surgery, or interfered with the recovery, then this case is going to be extremely important to you. Now, Spicer changed how we look at secondary conditions, and along with aggravated claims, it reinforces that the VA must consider whether a service connection condition contributes to a disability's current severity, even if that disability didn't originally cause the condition itself. So tonight we're going to break down what happened, why Mr. Spicer appealed all the way to the Federal Circuit Court, what the court decided, how veterans can use this decision when building secondary service connection claim. So let's get into it. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight. We are going to have great discussion here when it comes to the Spicer versus McDonough, the secondary conditions. Of course, we have Natural here with us, and she is going to drive this train tonight so you guys can get all your questions out. You can get all the answers you need so that you can get a clear and precise understanding of exactly what is happening. So let's see who's here with us. Hey, 66, welcome. And look here, my friend H-Town Vet, how are you? Good evening. HerVetVoice and the veteran family. Everybody greet each other in the comments. Let me know where you are tuning in from tonight. Hey, Betty Bobs. HVV, good evening. How are you on this lovely Friday? The crew and the family, hello. Everybody say hi. Hey, Benny, how are you? Good to see you tonight. David, it is good to see you. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you to the H-Town Vets crew that is over here tonight. Bluebird, good evening. How are you? The real Miss K, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining. The Mad Researcher, hey, 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 what is happening? Jimmy, how are you? Thank you for joining. Ron, it's always good to see you as well. Keith, hello, welcome. It's good to see you, Keith. How are you doing? Sandra, thank you for joining. My good friend Craig, it's always good. I know that you're listening. Say hi to the wife for me, and it's always a pleasure for you to join. So thank you so very much. Rodman, hello. How are you doing? Good to see you here. WK Mobile, all the way from Jacksonville, Florida, not too far from me in South Carolina. How are you doing? Jimmy, you are watching from Louisiana. Well, welcome. All right. So tonight, you guys heard what we are talking about. And I know that you have seen a lot of information in the YouTube streets when it comes to the whole secondary changes, if it's going to help you, if it's going to hurt you, if it's good, if it's bad, what's going to happen, why all these claims are getting denied, what is going to happen to my secondary claim that I filed before this come out. There are so many unanswered questions. And of course, we have Natural here with us to answer all your questions tonight about what is going on when it comes to the secondary changes, right? So, of course, you guys know that we created a presentation so you guys can screenshot. You always have the information to come back and to use as your guide, as your source. And we also have this video that you will be able to use to come back and listen if you have any questions. Of course, you also have the choice to email me if you have questions, and I will get back to you with, your answer, or you can put it in the comments of this video after it is concluded, and I will circle back to make sure that your questions are answered. FF will probably be joining us a little bit later. But as you know, we answer all your questions here. We have real live discussions. We are real human beings. We go through things just like everybody else. We have walked this path when it comes to, filing your disability claims, going through it. And this is why we're here to bring you the good information. All right. So let's get the party started. Okay. Let me know if you guys can see this really well, because I am not the guru when it comes to this whole YouTube situation. I'm just a young lady learning how to, trying to figure this out, right? So I'm just like H-Time and charge it to my head and not my heart. I'm just trying. So 10-4, we see it really well. Thank you, the real Miss K. All right. So guys, before we go any further, don't forget to hit the like, the share, and the subscribe. And thank you guys again for reaching me to my 1,000 subscribers. It's definitely been a worthwhile journey. I've met so many people. I've helped so many people along the way, and it brings joy to my heart to know that we are doing this and it's actually being fruitful and things are working out for veterans. That's just the biggest joy that we have. So let's talk about this change. Nacho, do you want to go into anything before we get here and, talk about some things, or you just want us to get right into it?
And just get right into it.
Right. All right. So we talk about what has changed in 2026. We're going to talk about what has changed in 2026, what did not change, why the Spicer ruling matters, how the M21 manual was updated, and what veterans must do differently now. The most important thing is going to be what veterans must do differently now that the changes have definitely come about. All right, so let's go. So the M21-1 covers and explains clearly and outlines that a disability may be service connected on a secondary basis if it is caused by a service connected condition, if it's aggravated by a service connected condition. And these two pathways come up in the 38 CFR 3.310A and B. So let's talk a little bit about secondary conditions before we really get into it. I see a lot of errors when it comes to secondary conditions. Most veterans are not paying close attention when they are filing contentions, because they are putting stuff that should be secondary and service connected, and stuff that is service connected secondary, because there's always that confusion. A service-connected disability occurs while in service. A secondary condition occurs in reference to the service-connected disability. And this is why we're getting into this contention of the changes for the M21-1 right now. Okay? I see you, RC, 1,000 on the road, 100,000 on the way. Thank you so much. So a secondary condition is one that is caused or aggravated by an already service-connected disability, right? Example, if your hip issues is caused by your altered gait from a knee injury, or your depression is worsened due to experiencing chronic pain, or sleep apnea aggravated by medication-related weight gain. Okay, I hope you guys are grasping, picking up what we're putting down. If you look at the hip issues come about because you're alternating your gait because you have a knee injury, right? So then your hip would be secondary to your knee injury, right? Your depression is becoming worse than because your body is experiencing chronic pain. And when you experience chronic pain, you become more depressed because you don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to do anything because pain has taken over your entire focus when it comes to your body. As for the sleep apnea, it's aggravated because you are taking medication which causes you to gain weight, and because you gain that weight, you have the respiratory issue and you've been diagnosed with sleep apnea. All right. So this is where the secondaries come into play. So let's talk about what the manual instructs and the causation standard. The manual instructs agitators to determine whether the claim condition is approximately due to the service-connected disability. So let's talk about the first example, natural, the medication side effects. How does this play a role when it comes to determining whether the claim condition is in proximity to the service-connected disability? Can you break this down for us?
Yes. So for instance, if you have, so if you have chronic like sinusitis or rhinitis, and you're taking a corticoid steroid for the allergic rhinitis or asthma or something like that, and you develop hypertension from the high dosage of the steroids that you are taking, you can now possibly claim your hypertension secondary to your allergic rhinitis or sinusitis due to the medications that you are taking to treat the primary service connected disability. The medical opinion would have to say that because you're taking that high dosage steroid or maybe Flonase or something like that, is causing your blood pressure to elevate, which you develop hypertension from taking the medication for treating your allergic rhinitis or sinusitis or asthma, whichever one. And then a medical opinion, of course, a secondary medical opinion would be ordered to be able to have the nexus between those two. The examiner will have to show the baseline and would have to say that the medication taken for your primary service connected disability directly caused your hypertension, cause you to develop hypertension from the medications.
All right. Do you guys get that? Do you guys got a clear understanding of how it's actually working here? All right. So I made it a little bit bigger so you guys can see a lot, more. So let's go into the next one. Biomechanical changes, meaning altered gait.
So if you have like knee problems, and you may start it out with like a right knee strain or patellofemoral syndrome, something like that. And because that knee is bothering you so bad, you will begin to shift your weight and put more weight on your right, which now, because your gait is shifted, it could cause you to have hip problems. It could cause you to have lower back problems. It could cause you to have pain in your feet, things of that nature, which kind of could lead to you having back spasms, could lead to you having migraines. So I worked my way up the body from the knees. Working your way down is kind of like hard because migraines can't cause back pain. Back pain can cause migraines. So when you're doing secondaries, always remember, work your way up the body instead of down. From head down, you're working your way back up when you're trying to do the example I gave was the knee. Your left knee is service connected, but your right is not. You had no in-service event for your right knee. You had no diagnosis, but now that you have the left knee injury, because you're not putting pressure on the left knee to try to alleviate that pain, then you now have a right knee problem. You now have hip, back, things like that. So that's what the biochem. So just remember, when you're trying to get something service connected, the key is you have to be able to word it in a way that shows, okay, this caused this. Because now there's no more approximately due to, it had to directly cause this injury.
So what you're saying is there's no as least as likely as anymore. It has to be direct.
Yeah, it's directly caused by.
Do you guys get it? It has to be directly caused. All right. So let's talk about the physiological consequences when it comes to hypertension from PTSD. How is that?
So this kind of goes along with the medication for me,
Mhm.
taken by people that that have mental health problems. It ain't just PTSD any, but you have to think, like, when you're really stressed, and you could be like, some people don't realize when they're sleeping how they grind their teeth, they clench their jaws and stuff
Mhm.
like that. It can cause those physiological problems without you even knowing, because a lot of times when you're sleeping and stuff like that, you may be you can have dreams, you could be failing, you can be doing all kind of things in your dreams
Mhm.
when you're sleeping, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Now, PTSD and hypertension, it has to do with the stress, the amount of stress that you are under from that disability. Now, I could say I've probably only seen maybe 4 or 5 actually get service connected from a mental driving to the hypertension. It's really, I've not seen very many granted
Mhm.
this away, but with the new way, it may be a little easier. I'm not sure, but the old way, the way that it was, I seen a lot of denials with it. But the examiner will say something like, yes, the veteran has stress from their service connected disability. However, there are other factors. You know how they all say diet, age,
Mhm.
cigarette smoking, all these other environmental and things of that nature. So what you would have to show is, anytime the doctor increased your medication, you may have a fluctuation in your blood pressure, right?
Yes.
Until you kind of stabilize the medication that you're on. So
Mhm.
sometimes when the dosage is too high, then your body has to adjust. So, the hormones and stuff like that is going to go all out of whack, because now you're introducing the foreign medication into your body. So now that throws off everything. So you
Yes.
may develop migraines, you may develop high blood pressure, you may develop nausea, you may develop GERD, IBS. It's a lot of different factors, when you are looking at the physiological side of
Mhm.
primary conditions causing secondaries.
All right. So we have a few questions here before we go on. I don't know, Minimoto. I'm not sure. So Sandra says, natural, that is the perfect example about biomechanics and knee problems and altered gait. That's what I'm dealing with right now. Awesome. All
Thank
right.
you.
Um, so Craig put but for, those are the direct words that they use, and said that direct
Hmm.
causation, not approximate. Very
Right.
important here. Very
Yeah.
important. So WK MOBA said directly cause is going to be a big ask of a medical professional compared to a 50-50.
Exactly. And that's why, in my opinion, I feel like I understand why this law came about. If you guys don't know the backstory about it, it was a veteran. I think his name was Luther Spicer. He
Yes.
had he
Mhm.
had leukemia, and he developed arthritis in his knees, and he required a joint replacement. But the medication they gave him for his leukemia, it lowered his red blood cell count. So he couldn't get the surgery. So they were like, you're already 100%. It's not, like basically they kept denying the arthritis due
Yes.
to the leukemia. And so he took it to court, and that's the reason why they changed 38 CFR 3.310B, because they struck down the aggravation of a non-service connected disability. And
Yes.
that's why, because it impeded treatment. So in his case, because of the disability that he had, which was leukemia, it impeded his treatment. And the VA kept denying the arthritis, saying it wasn't linked. But because the veteran could not get care because of his service connected disability, that was, that was wrong.
Yes.
And so that's why this law kind of came about. And if I didn't know if anybody knew why this law came, but that is primarily why this law came about.
So let's see here. David says, I can't understand why sleep apnea is a hard claim for a 91 Gulf War veteran, Iraq and Afghanistan veteran PACT Act.
Well, sleep apnea is kind of, because it's always sleep apnea and other conditions. You have to understand still, you have to have an in. So in your case, the in-service event would have been Gulf War. And you would have had to have some type of complaints, and some type of diagnosis, in-service sleep study or something like that done, for that to get service connected. I'm pretty sure that because you had Gulf War, they sent you and terror, they sent you for those, and they probably came back negative only because it didn't develop while you were in service, and they didn't link it to a toxic exposure or the Gulf War.
Jake Custom Parts wants to know, are we seeing an increase in approved VA claims lately or more denials? What are your thoughts? You say
Because I do it every day, it fluctuates. To me, it fluctuates. It fluctuates. Some days we see a lot of claims that still need development, and we're referring them back for them to complete the development. I can't speak for a whole, I can only speak for me. I see probably more claims, new claims, probably about a 50-50. Supplementals, if you don't submit any new and relevant evidence and you don't have a new theory, I just see them repeatedly denied. I don't know. It's all about the evidence, guys. That's what it boils down to, and how well your lay statement, and the evidence and service, and what way you're trying to, service connected. It's not that I look for every way to try to service connect the veteran, but sometimes there is nothing that can be done.
Gotcha. How should secondary claims be filed? New or supplemental? If incorrectly filed, what is the outcome?
So for anything for a secondary, it would not be a supplemental. It would be a new claim, because secondaries are new theories of entitlement. So you would have to say that you claim, so here's one thing. So if you claim like an increase for your back, right? And then you go, and then the examiner diagnoses you with bilateral radiculopathy. You don't have to file a claim for that, because that's within scope of the back, and we will go ahead and service connect that. So if you're filing a secondary, your primary has to be service connected, right? It has to be service connected. So even if you have a non-service connected disability and we send, which I don't like why we do this, but if we send for a medical opinion for a non-service connected disability, and the examiner comes back and says, yes, it's secondary to that, it's still a denial. So I don't like that, but I can only speak for me, because the primary that's causing this secondary is not service connected. However, if you've already did it as a secondary and you come back and it was denied, you have to do it as a supplemental, because you've already had it under that theory of entitlement, unless you switch contentions. Like, say you did back to knee or something like that, and they said no, and then you come back and say feet to back or something like that, and you will have to do, even though you're doing it to a new contention, you will have to file a supplemental, because we've already looked at it under the secondary entitlement.
One of the questions that I get asked all the time is, how are examiners now really taking this whole change? Has there been a change in how examiners see ratings when it comes to secondary disabilities when it comes to secondary claims? How do you see examiners are doing with submitting the DBQs when it comes to the secondary claims?
You mean private or just through VA?
Either, both of them.
So with the new changes, and this is just from what I've seen, rating. I can't, again, I'm not speaking for every RO, I'm not speaking for every rater. What I've seen since the changes, I've actually seen a lot of more denials than I have grants. Just from the ones that I've been given to rate. So in the past, what I would have seen granted is now being denied because of this baseline issue. And I'm like, how can you create a baseline for a condition that manifested from, another? So me personally, I have not seen very many grants since this change.
Wow. All right, Bluebird said the Spicer change will have a huge impact on pending higher level reviews with secondary conditions that were in process before this change occurred.
So let me say this. Before, when a law changes and you had a claim prior to the law change, the new law change doesn't affect that. We have to rate it under the old law because you had it prior to the law change. We can't penalize a person based on a law changing and they already had a claim in. It's kind of like when PACT came in and people had, or I'm sorry, not PACT, when the law changed for GERD and IBS, because we used to rate them together. And now you can rate them separate. If it's detrimental to separate them out, then we keep them together, because you can't, or if the veteran files for an increase and they're at, say, 30%, and they come back and the new DBQ is done based on a new law, and it says now they are warranted a 0, we can't penalize the veteran because of the law change. We will CNC the 30 and keep it moving.
There you go. You guys have that, Bluebird?
That's
thank you.
I think anything that comes after, when you look at HLRs, anything that's coming after the law change, I feel that it will affect that.
All right, we're going to answer these questions and then we're going to get back into the presentation. I was 2 months post-op from a total knee replacement surgery and got dizzy, fell and broke my right ankle. Should I claim right ankle secondary to my service-connected left knee?
Yes, because you were moving around. Were you healed from the total knee? But regardless, your knee probably buckled and you fell. That's the way you're gonna have to put it. You say 2 months post-op, just the way you put it here.
Right here.
And you fell and broke your ankle, and it's a direct because of your knee. Yes, you should.
one of the things that I really see when it comes to veterans filing claim is that sometimes they overthink it, right? It's not that complicated, but because they're not really understanding the concept behind it, they are so baffled with the wording. Like this simple wording right here, some veterans would think that that's not enough, right? So they would try to add more to it. I want you guys to understand that sometimes less is more, okay? Because if you put too much in there, I've had people say that they talked themselves out of their disability because they said too much or they wrote too much.
Well,
So
the
some,
only I'm sorry, HerVetVoice. Let me do a caveat real quick to her.
mhm,
So Sandra, what I would say, I would elaborate on why you got dizzy. Was it from the medication? Was it from the anesthesia? Or and well, you said 2 months. It couldn't be from anesthesia, but it could be from the pain medication.
mhm.
So just elaborate on why are you stood up too fast, or the pain, or the nausea, something caused you to get dizzy, so just kind of elaborate on that part, on
Yeah.
the dizzy part, but keep everything else, but just elaborate on what caused you, because having a total knee replacement, and you know actually just saying you had the total knee replacement, your knee buckled and you fell and broke your ankle, I would
Mhm.
probably just say that.
Yes. All right. Hey,
Now,
OT.
you could say that due to the medication, it caused you to get vertigo and you fail. That's another
Yes.
that's another disability secondary. So it's up to you on how you word it.
Yes, Bluebird. I remember you are going. I got you. Keep it simple. Let the VBA carry the weight. Correct. Craig says, Sandra, that explanation seems spot on that you gave in the chat. Awesome. Make sure you got good medical to back it up. I filed a secondary as a supplemental and it was denied as a direct claim. Secondary was not addressed. I'm confused.
Okay, so probably what happened is whatever you filed, someone might have saw something in your
Mhm,
service treatment records and they ordered a direct. So
mhm,
here's the thing. Even though you guys may file it secondary, if we find something in your STRs, we always have to ask for a direct medical opinion first. Because sometimes a condition that is filed happened prior to you being service connected for the primary. So the VA looks at it like, okay, how could your primary disability cause something that you already had prior to? But what it could do, your primary could aggravate something that happened, prior. So that's, it's kind of like we would have to ask for like aggravation, something like that. So
mhm.
a disability that happened prior to your primary cannot be looked at as a secondary. Now, if
Yeah.
you file a HLR and the DRO reviews it and says, hey, you guys should have ordered a secondary, then by all means, that's what will happen. They'll go and, because I don't know, your case. I'm just saying in theory, what we're supposed to do is always ask for a direct service connection first. And then we look at other theories of entitlement.
Hit the like button, y'all. It's 50 people in here. Hit the like button, please, and thank you, so the other veterans can know we're talking about this and come and get this great information. Hey, Seek, how are you? It looks like she said that she was later diagnosed with BPPV.
I know what it is. So yes, Sandra, you should file, but okay. So what you're gonna have to link it. You're gonna because they're gonna say, how did your knee cause you to have vertigo? It's a vestibular. This is benign peripheral um vestibular something or
Mhm.
other, right? So you when you think about it, you're gonna have to think about this, and how can your knee cause you to develop vertigo? That's essentially what this is,
Yeah.
a vestibular disability.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to say it like, now I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just giving you some. You're gonna have to say it like, due to, from the anesthesia to the medication, that, you know, if they increase the medication or whatever you were doing, you're gonna kind of have to do it that way, because a knee can't cause vertigo, is what they're gonna say. So you're gonna have to kind of link it to either the medication, anesthesia, like I said, something or other like that. That's how you're gonna have to link it, because it's gonna be hard to do it straight to the total knee.
Craig gave us let me get down to it. The mad researcher said, we veterans have to learn brevity, keep things quick, simple, and to the point. Hey, San Diego Marine, how are you? So Craig said it could be due to the medication, or it could be that Sandra's equilibrium was off. I think it depends on the situation. Either way, it could establish causation. Agree with Natural on elaborating. Awesome.
Yes.
San Diego Marine, how are you? Good to see you. We have a new member, J Law Jr. Thank you for becoming a member. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
guys. Welcome, J Law, to our as a YouTube member. So let's get back into our presentation so we can keep going, so you guys can get this good information. So the next thing we're going to talk about is what changed with the Spicer versus McDonald change, but for causation standard. The VA must consider whether the condition would be less severe today, but for the secondary, the service-connected disability. So meaning the VA is going to determine, and they're going to consider if the condition that you have would be less severe now, but due to the service-connected disability. They're also going to consider the treatment and if interference counts. The delayed, prevented, or limited treatment can establish secondary conditions. Remember, Natural just talked about delayed, talking about Spicer delays treatment that he received. The permanent worsening not required, and the aggravation does not need to be permanent to qualify. So let's get into that, Natural.
So that's why I don't even know. So basically, at first we would have to have, now aggravation. Let me say this: if you had something prior to service, aggravations will still be ordered.
Okay,
that's not going to change. In this case, what they're saying, had you not had a primary disability, would you have developed the secondary? That's what the but for. But for, if the primary condition did not develop, would you have this secondary? Would you already have this would you already have this condition if you didn't have the other one? Which to me, I don't even know how you could even, that's where that baseline thing comes in. I don't even know how you can establish that.
Yeah.
In my, you know what I'm saying, in my opinion, yeah. I mean, I'm not a medical professional like that, but yeah. I just don't see how you can, and like I said, like the veteran who had this change come, there was no way that man could have, that veteran, I'm sorry, not man, the veteran could not get that surgery due to his, it probably would have made him worse, if not, so if you need, like in his case, he needed a total knee replacement. He can't have it. So he's going to constantly stay in pain.
Yeah.
So how can you not grant something if a person cannot get treatment to alleviate that?
Yeah. Well,
and if your treatment is delayed, your prognosis is going to get worse. That means you may not be able to take medications for it. Living with chronic pain is excruciating, so putting
the pieces together seems like this should already be something that's already thought through and should be. But now that we're putting the pieces together, is it really?
I don't know. It's just a, to me, it is a play on words too,
Yeah.
because
Correct.
if you didn't have this, would you have developed this? We don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if you read some medications, they will say, hey, don't take it if you have this, and that. If you know, a lot of it has to do with cardiovascular or some type of blood disorders and stuff like that. But it also tells you, hey, this medication has been linked to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Right now, people take medications because they need it to cure whatever they have, not
Yes.
thinking, hey, I may be one of these people that this don't affect. But
Mhm.
you have the percentage of people that do develop disabilities off of taking medications.
Yes. Yeah. Because sometimes the medication effect can also affect something else that you're already taking. You know what I'm saying? And those two things come together can bring about something else in the body. So it definitely is, putting the pieces a lot. Yes. It's definitely the wording. So now you have to make sure that your wording is in correlation with what they're asking for, because the moment it has given anything outside, then it's going to be an automatic denial. That's going to be very important.
But
And
most veterans don't. I think most veterans don't sit and research these things. They know, some know about the changes, but they don't know about I gotta explain it like this. They think, let me just file a claim and just no lay statement on nothing, and the VA has to figure it out. Well, you don't. Sometimes you don't want them to figure. You want to give them help on figuring it out for you.
Remember, I say, help yourself. When you help yourself, sometimes you get extra help, right? Help yourself. W came over and said, I don't think they thought this one through at all. Well, do Dougie think anything through? I mean, it's all word semantics to get us all confused. Just keep the ball moving. Oh, they thought it through. They thought it through at the fact that they're not going to be paying out a whole lot of money for secondaries. Now, they thought this thing through. Hello.
Well, in this case, I think it was thought through to help this particular veteran.
Person. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the next slide here. Let's talk about the aggravation standard, because a lot of people have questions about aggravation. The section also explains how to evaluate whether the service-connected condition worsens or a non-service-connected condition. The key points here is aggravation does not require permanent worsening. The VA must determine the baseline level of the condition before aggravation. Only the incremental increase is compensatable. This is where many claims get denied because the baseline is not documented. So you're saying here that the aggravation baseline is not documented, and by the time they get out and it's gotten worsened, meaning that it don't have to be permanent worsening, but it's not documented, and then that's where the denial comes into play.
Right. And this is why I don't like the baseline theory, because how do I know, like, if I'm taking something from my back or GERD or something like that, and I keep getting excruciating migraines, I'm not gonna probably think, oh, it's due to this medication, right? I'm not gonna be like, oh, this medication might be, I might think, oh man, every time my back hurt, I'm getting bad migraines. So I'm gonna say, hey, every time I have a backache, I have a migraine, but I'm not knowing the medication I'm taking for the back is causing the migraines to intensify. How can you establish a baseline? Because all I can say is, well, I didn't have them before my back injury, right?
Yeah.
And so this is why I feel like trying to establish a baseline for a non-service connected disability is kind of like you're throwing another monkey wrench into the disability claim, because how can a veteran actually show a baseline for a condition that developed from another condition? How can you so I don't know. I have to digress on this because where I work, but as a veteran, I'm going to say that it seems more difficult now for veterans to get service connected on a secondary level. You got more to prove now, and it's hard because of this word baseline.
So, Sandra, this is a good point here. We're going to get into this. I've not filed a secondary claim yet. Sounds like it's got more difficult to prove, and I may need a Nexus letter for each secondary. Now, the Nexus letter wording also has to change, Sandra.
Yeah, it's going to have, and even the private DBQs are going to have to change. So, Sandra, veteran to veteran, this is what I would suggest. I would suggest going to your medical provider and say, hey, since my total knee replacement, I've developed and been diagnosed with vertigo. It started after my total knee replacement and the medications I take to control the pain from my knee. There's your nexus. And because of the total knee, and I developed the vertigo from taking the medications, I fell and broke my ankle. The doctor is going to make a note. There's your nexus.
You got that, Sandra? You can always come back and replay this video so you can get it. Raise the bar for the benefit of doubt. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Okay. Evidence requirements. The section emphasizes that adjudicators must look for a medical nexus addressing the causation or the aggravation, a clear identification of the mechanism on how the condition affects the other, and medical rationale, not just conclusion. Wow.
That's kind of what I was just telling her to do.
Yeah. The medical rationale. Yeah. I don't know if you guys remember, we told you guys about peer review articles and all those type of things are going to have to start coming into play when you need more evidence.
Well, in this case, with this law, there's not going to be very many peer article reviews available yet because the law just came. So although there may be peer review articles out here that shows, you know, this can develop from this, not saying that you can't submit it. I'm just saying that there's not going to be very many when it comes to this particular law. But yes, do research and look for your peer review articles to kind of, and then always sometimes pull up the medication side effects and send that.
Yep. All of that's evidence, y'all. I hope you guys are grasping what she's putting down here. I hope you are picking up what she is putting down. She is dropping nuggets. I hope you guys are picking up exactly what Natural is putting down. Okay? Your medication side effects. That is all that can be submitted as well. Okay? Medical evidence. Peer review articles. I hope you're picking up what she's putting down. Right? Thank you, Grace. Thank you. You taking notes? Yeah. I hope you're picking up. Yes, most PubMeds, most of the Terra opinions are derived from PubMeds. Yes. All right, let's keep going here. Okay. The quiet tightening of the M21-1 manual update. The VA updated the M21 section, and it tightened evidentiary requirements for all secondary claims. This includes direct causation under the 38 CFR, not just aggravation. And the advocates call this the pendulum effect, a subtle shift making claims harder. Take it in. Take it in. I'm going to read it again. It's tightening the evidentiary requirements for all secondary claims, right? And it's making a shift for claims to become harder when it comes to secondary claims.
I agree. Based on what I've been seeing lately, I totally agree.
So, okay. So, although the M21 is not law, the VA updated this section after Spicer, which clarifies the VA must consider whether the secondary condition would be less severe but for the service-connected disability. And we just went over that. We talk about the treatment interference, delayed or prevented care, and how it can establish a secondary condition. We talk about the permanent worsening is not required for aggravation, and this has shifted how the adjudicators interpret the section, making the analysis more detailed, right? So when you look at your treatment, the care, if it's been delayed, how it's been prevented, now you have to be able to say that that treatment interfered and establish that service connection, that secondary connection. So you're going to have to pay very close attention to your health. And this is where the handy dandy notebook comes into play. You have to start writing stuff down, annotating. Then when you go in to see your providers, you have to give them very detailed information, because that's going to play a big role in how they can see that your secondary condition worsened due to your service-connected disability. And it has to point exactly to it. And it would not be less severe but for the secondary disability. All right. I hope you guys are grasping. Let me know if I'm moving too fast or whatever the case is.
So for me, I would think on how the new rule impacts the veterans. I think it focuses on more of the actual impairment.
Mm-hmm.
Their rate, I feel like we rate them based on their actual functional impairment, and then the medications, even if they're not medicated. Well, I would say if they were not taking the medication,
Mm-hmm.
would this aggravate an additional? And I think that's kind of how they may look at medications now. But to me, kind of, do you feel like, and this is my thought, do you feel like it kind of goes back to the law that got debunked?
I've been said that. I had that conversation with FF. I said that. I said this seems very similar to that, but this is just another way around it.
That's what I feel.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but that was a thought that I had.
It's been a thought in my head, and it's something that I jot down because I was like, okay, well, they didn't do it this way with the medication, but here they come the other way with the secondary. Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. I feel like, because we still send for, so on the bottom of the DBQ, it still talks about that, the medications and all of that. We send it back. If they don't include that, we send it back for that. They have to still answer because so technically it never really left. It's still there. It's just, I guess veterans may not know it, but they still answer those questions about the medication on the bottom of the DBQ.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we have here. I missed something. Strong being, thank you. 100%. How does this change align with the M21-1? Does this mean that the BVA is now the only lane for an appeal? Good question.
Well, in my mind, I would say, I don't know. I can't answer that. Yeah. I mean, only because of where I work.
Yes.
On my veteran side, probably, yeah.
Well, we know the answer is yeah, but
remember, guys, they're gonna make the M21 align. Yeah. That's why they make the changes
Every
Every
day.
day we get updates
Mm-hmm.
on the M21 changing. And that's what's crazy, because once you learn one law and then you may go to the M21 to look up something and you'll see an update added to, it'll be like it'll have A, B, and C,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, now you got D, E, F, and G. And you're like, wait, when did they do this? So
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah.
Yep. Mad Researcher said, I sent my provider a short agenda of what I want to discuss. Yes, that's something that definitely should be done. Definitely going to watch this from the beginning and go into pause reading through this. Thank you, Grace. Definitely, this is going to be a great video that you want to be from the get-go. Yes, but use the back door through the M21, another sneaky move. Yeah, I've been said that that was another way around it. Okay, definitely. It's okay, OT. We got it over. We know what to do. Yes, the BVA is going to be the only lane.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the only lane technically now.
RC style. Craig said, just to remember to like and subscribe, everyone. It's real. You'll find this caliber of VA claim information anyway. Hit the like button so your other veteran friends can get this video and go back and read this information so they can know exactly how to file their secondary claims. Please and thank you. All right. Bluebird said, it really surprised no one has challenged this through the court. Not as yet. Like others have for the attempted change that was rescinded. Now, Natural's not going to talk on this, but let me tell you what about this, Bluebird. This right here was backhanded. Because if you guys haven't realized, this thing come out like the whole medication thing, where somebody put it out there and it ran. This went through the back door. This went through a change of the M21-1 that just sneakily just slithered its way through. And by the time veterans would then have the time to react to it, guess what? It's already sliding through.
Oh, well, right? What I can talk about is I feel that they use the veterans'
case
conditions and his particular case to make this change. Like I said earlier, I don't think that the veteran went to challenge this to make a lot. I think he went to prove his case.
Yes.
And after proving his case, they said, hey, well, let's use this as blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And they snuck it in on everybody. They snuck it in. And now it's
example of him for everybody else. Yeah. And I'm sure there are going to be future lawsuits coming. Absolutely. But now, people have to sit down, they have to take it in, they have to analyze, they have to rebut, they have to document. There's going to be a lot of things, going into play before this goes back, if there's anything going into the federal court. So let's keep going. I'm really surprised no one has challenged this through the court like others have. Okay, thank you, Sandra. This information is great. There's going to be future lawsuits coming. Absolutely. Quick question. Does the VA round up from 84.7 to 85? Yes.
Yeah.
It's this close. It's this close.
Yeah.
When I went to my knee exam, the examiner asked if I had taken medication that day before the exam. Laugh out loud, I said no. Hope that was the correct answer.
I cannot comment on this question.
I don't know if that's the correct answer. It depends. So we have 53 people and 38 likes. Y'all hit the like button for your friends to watch this video. I'm only advocating for this because not too many content creators have discussed this right here. And there are many questions that veterans have when it comes to filing secondary claims. Okay. There are no channels that have a rater on there that's answering except Rater HQ's channel. But there are no channels that have a rater that's giving you the direct answers that you need when it comes to this secondary claim and the changes. Okay. Let's see. Hey, Jason, I'm catching this, but I'll be reviewing right after. Okay. Hit that button like it's Pastor Dougie's face. Don't get me started, Mini Moto. Anyway, so let's look at this. Why claims are now harder? Claims are now harder because some interpretations suggest VA is moving towards 100% causation, the due to standard, instead of a 50-50. Then there are stricter scrutinies for pre-existing conditions. And there are also aggravation claims may result in reduced ratings, only the difference counts. Guys, read it, reread it. I don't know how to beat it in your head. Make sure the medical evidence that you are submitting is the right evidence. Don't submit too much evidence, because I know that you guys want to get the evidence out there and you want all of this stuff to be, whole and ready and settled, but be mindful. Read over the evidence that you are about to submit. Don't give more than you should, especially when it comes to pre-existing conditions. One of the biggest issues, you have to read over the medical records.
So I want to say something about the medication, the Ingram versus Collins, right? They say, I'm just say we still ask that question on the DBQ. We ask, I think it's like 4 or 5 questions. And the first question says, does this veteran take medication? And if that veteran says yes, then the examiner has to answer other questions behind it. So in my opinion, that didn't, they say it's rescinded, but it didn't go away. It's still on the DBQ.
And you know what? When I went to look at the DBQs, and I know that they are going to make changes to the DBQs, I said, well, if this has been rescinded, and I went back to look at what they rescinded compared to what was on the DBQ, and I started to ask myself, well, okay, if this was rescinded, why is the DBQ still saying the same?
Because we had the Shinseki and all that law before. The Ingram came after about this medication stuff. But if we rescinded it, why is those questions still being answered? I have to talk like this because I shouldn't be talking about this.
All right, let's keep moving because we gonna move on. Okay, so the practical impact on veterans. The impact that it's going to have on veterans is more denials, like for vaguely or unsupported claims. Then the Nexus letters that you guys are paying thousands of dollars for, it is time that you read them over, because they're going to have to be more specific, meaning that they're going to have to be very direct. Okay. Did the service condition cause it? Did it aggravate it? Did it interfere with treatment? The evidence must clearly answer the but-for questions. Very important when it comes to your Nexus letter. So if you've been paying somebody to write a letter and you have not been reading it before you pay for your money, this is your time to shine. Read it before you pay. And if they're not letting you read it before you pay, then keep your money. I'm telling you, and I'm telling you now, because you're going to be paying for a circus letter. It's going to go round and round and round and round and round, and then just out the door. It's not going to have any validity to it if these questions are not answered, or they're not specific when it comes to answering those questions. And this is not a fear-mongering type live. This is not to scare you from getting a Nexus letter, but I want you to focus on, if you have to get a Nexus letter, and I'm not telling you what to do, if to get one or not to get one, but if you make the choice to get one, pay close attention, because then you can't cry and say, but I had a Nexus letter. But then the next question is going to say, in your Nexus letter, Did they address this, and this? Was it vague? Was it supported? Did it say it was directly because? Those are the questions that then are going to be answered when you make the statement of saying, well, I had a Nexus letter. And this is when the people who are writing a Nexus letter are now going to be held accountable to make sure that they are thoroughly doing their job when they come to writing a Nexus letter. All right, let's see here. I will request a formal conference. Okay, mini motor, yes or no is not the focus. How you answer after giving yes or no, it all has to make sense for your system, your symptoms. Is it under 30 days, Jason, if you have to have your accredited peeps request a claim accuracy request, not used car like the ones Pastor Dougie and H. Down are selling? All right. Only applicable evidence. Check the 38 CFR parts 3 and 4 and the M21-1 chapter 7. Thank you, Craig. I think Congress is tightening the reins of VA requiring accountability metrics. We've heard this via the committee hearing we've been listening to. Correct. Because if you seen the man sit up there and ask about sleep apnea, so what about sleep apnea? Why are veterans not going to work? So Ms. Tan had to tell him that most veterans do go to work because they automatically think that we just at home rubbing our feet together doing absolutely nothing. They really don't think that veterans go to work. They don't. That's how much they really think about us. All right. Let's keep going here. So let's get into how to strengthen a secondary claim. In order to strengthen your secondary claim, you have to obtain a detailed Nexus letter addressing the exact theory, right? Your documents, your treatments, delays, or your limitations. You have to provide before and after medical evidence, and you use specialist opinions when possible. Ensure all symptoms and functional impacts are recorded. Now, let's talk a little bit about the specialist opinions, because y'all be thinking that you can go to your general practitioner for every single thing. That burns me up. Oh, my nurse could write this, or my nurse could write that. Go ahead, Natural.
Oh, what I would say is like this. You can't go to McDonald's and ask for a Whopper. Because we know that is Burger King. So when for this slide, she means a specialist, like if it's a kidney, you have to see. If you have a neuro problem, you have to see. If you have a eye condition, you have to see. You guys see where I'm going with this. Whatever condition that you have to see, that medical evidence has to come from someone like that. Now, it can come from a general medical physician, but to strengthen your case, that's the word, strengthen, it would behoove you to go see that particular specialist so he can give a detailed Nexus to show the causation. Now, what they mean by the provider before, did you have the secondary condition before you started taking medication? Now, they don't always have to do with medication, guys, but that's probably one of the main things that cause secondaries, right? But if you have a primary condition, and because chronic pain can make you develop a mental health, because if you're in constant pain daily, you're going to get depressed, you're going to feel hopeless, so yes, that's, you don't pretty much, I mean, if you're seeing a mental health provider, here's the thing. Whatever you're trying to do, you have to be able to have some type of medical evidence to back it up. So if you have a service-connected disability for chronic pain, like I'll say like a chronic back pain, right? And you're seeing a specialist, get that specialist, especially if you're going to the VA, get them to refer you to mental health. That way you can, as long as you're complaining when you go into your back, because all of them ask you about a mental health, they give you a mental health questionnaire, right?
Yeah.
And you tell them, hey, I feel like, you know how they say, oh, in the last whatever days, have you felt like blah, blah, blah. Now, if you be like, no, 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 let me tell you what's going to happen if you try to file a secondary claim. Somebody like me is going to go look at your VAMC records or your private treatment records or whatever, and I'm going to look and see if you're going to mental health. I'm going to look and see if how you answered those questionnaires and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to determine, like, okay, well, I know that mental health waxes and wanes. But if this person is saying it's impacting them so severely that they can't go to work, they can't do nothing, they can't, to me, I would, in theory, think you would try to go seek help. I know some people suffer in silence. That's not always good, but I know some people suffer in silence. But in this case, with this law, you're going to have to get up and go do it. Even if you don't want to, you're going to have to go do it because it's going to depend on that medical documentation. Now, just because I see that you did not go and see anybody doesn't negate you going to a medical examination or an opinion, because the examiner has to say, well, yeah, this is due to this. But if you have medical evidence, you're going to get treatment, you're going to mental health, and they relate it automatically to your back, there is your nexus. We just have to have an examiner say, yeah, it is. But not always do we have to send you to an exam, because if the evidence, if the overall evidence gives it to us already, we can give it, we can hook it up.
Yeah. Okay. I hope you guys got that. All right. We're trucking.
I hope everybody's understanding what
we are putting down here. We are. All right. Is this the last slide? Was this the last one? No. Let's get to the summary. So the summary here is secondary claims still exist and remain vital, right? What Spicer did was expanded what the VA must consider. The M21-1 updates quietly raises the bar, but veterans must provide stronger, more targeted evidence. Now, one of the biggest things that we always have been talking about here is the validity of your evidence and how strong it is, right? So now you have to do the work. You have to go to the specialist provider. You have to make sure that if you're getting a nexus, that you're getting something that's clear, precise, concise, and it meets the guidelines that the VBA has, especially when it comes to this whole change. So now you're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to do some work. All right, let's see here.
Let us know if this information is helpful for you guys, so that we
from the total knee replacement causing altergate and lumbar sacral strain.
Are you service connected for your back?
For
lumbosacral.
Are you service connected, Sandra? I don't want to get political here, but it's all changing under Trump, or was a lot of this happening under the Biden? I don't know. I just know that
I can't comment because we
don't. I don't know, but I just know that the last couple of changes has been under the Trump administration. I mean, I don't really even think it matter, but
the many changes has happened under.
Natural. VA PCP is sending out to community care for a provisional diagnosis. So what does that mean?
Is this the one with the total knee problem?
No, this is Grace. This is a different question.
So Grace, it doesn't really matter where you go, as long as typically the VA sends you out for community care because they don't have the specialists at the VAMC to properly diagnose you or give you treatment. So no, it's not a bad thing. It's probably a better thing actually. But go to one thing you guys must do is keep your appointments. If you're trying to prove, especially now with all these changes, please keep your appointments. Please check in with your PCP regularly or your private providers and get a copy of your I was gonna say service treatment records, Lord. Get a copy of all of your medical treatment, and before you submit them, please read over them, because you can always go back and get addendums added to your medical records. If you told the doctor something and they didn't add it in, please go back. Now, I say the nurse of the doctor is probably one of the better note takers, because they ask you, what are you here for today? Now, I'm not saying overload the nurse. I'm just saying, if you want the key points that you want in your records, because we even consider the nursing's notes, you tell them, hey, this, and that, so that when you go see that provider, you can say, if he or she doesn't touch what you told the nurse, you say, oh, when I was talking to your nurse, I informed her of this, right? And if you go home or you go to your My Healthy Vet and you don't see any of that stuff that you talked about, hey, send them a secure message and say, hey, per our conversation in the during my appointment, I address these things, and I don't see it in my records, but you gave me medication for this. She or he has to respond to that. We can see that.
Documentation is everything, guys. And remember, I keep saying, keep using My Healthy Vet. Now, the VA has implemented an AI program that is going to be taking notes while you are seeing your provider. And the provider has to go over the notes before they validify your notes. If there's something that you talked about that is not in that note, this will also make you go back and read that note. Some of you guys go to the doctor and you don't even go look and see what the doctor put in there. It's only after you're looking months and months later, you realize that this is not everything you talked about. I think this part of this is holding veterans accountable. I think this is part of holding you guys accountable, because sometimes you guys don't want to do the work. So Thomas has a question here. If a veteran changes the theory, does effective date of claim change?
Not if you continuously pursue it.
All right, let's see what's here. It is understood that a vet with chronic pain has anxiety and depression, or does the vet need a current diagnosis? This is a good question.
It's not understood. I wouldn't
you
say
trying
that.
to tell me that if I had a MOS that I used to do a lot of work, rucks and running, and then all of a sudden I have a whole bunch of pain, that the rater just don't understand that my MOS was the factor behind my chronic pain?
It's enough to ask for an exam, but it depends on the MOS also. But that's typically like physical trauma, but it is enough to ask for an examination and medical opinion. Now, to her question, Sandra, I would say you need to begin to pave the way for this to be a connection. You need to start complaining, or if you haven't already, talking to your provider about, since your total knee replacement, you have developed pain, on other joints, and now it's depressing you, it's causing you bad anxiety. you're not the same. You know, explain yourself, explain how you were prior to the TKR, right? Explain what you were able to do versus what you can't do now, which led to, you know, if you used to go play bingo and you used to drive yourself and you can't do it now, you know, that, you know, you can't, you don't have, you know, pleasure, joy, you know, and which now you're secluded to your home because of the constant pain, right? So you don't necessarily have to have a diagnosis. If you claim this, it will get sent for an exam and a medical opinion. The examiner has to say, yes, this veteran has generalized anxiety disorder, or she has MDD, which is major depressive disorder, due to. Now, what I would say is you're going to have to say it like, total knee, I forget what knee it was, but your left knee, I think it was left knee, left knee, anxiety and depression secondary to left knee, total knee replacement with chronic pain.
Yeah.
And then write your lay statement.
Very important. Very important. The importance of a lay statement. I just had a client that tell me the VSO told them not to write a lay statement. But I ain't even gonna start tonight. She's not service connected for back. Totally in depth, natural. Yes, natural really went totally. So y'all go to the BHA so the change backfires to the ones that implemented it. Ron Kim said we are giving out fire information today. This is a great discussion. Thank you. You're always welcome. It is my understanding that the secondary does not have to be caused by the primary. Aggravation must be considered. Is that accurate?
It's your understanding.
That's not your right understanding.
That's not your right understanding, because we just went over this. Maybe you're late to the.
I think she's late to the live, so you would have to go back and get a better understanding. But this is not the right understanding here. And I hope
so. Let me say, how is it secondary if it's not caused by your primary?
Can't be.
This is the part where we say you have to think things through before you say it, because aggravation comes into play if the condition existed prior to your military service. Aggravation comes into play if your primary disability has aggravated a additional disability. Again, play on words. It's two different ways to get an aggravation.
Yeah. Hope you got that, Bianca. This information is detailed, and y'all break it down to where folks can understand. That's our always intent here. H-Town giving some love. We are definitely, it's our intent here for veterans to come here and get clear and concise, broken down information instead of the large, big words, not understanding. Just listening to them and giving some of my thoughts on the current changes. Oh, here you go, OT. No problem. Use secure messaging. It leaves a paper trail. Dennis says, I'm service connected for prostate cancer. Do I have to see a VA provider, or can I continue to see my primary oncologist and urologist? You don't have to. You can continue with your providers that you see.
Correct. Now, the key, Dennis, is, and I hope you're doing well, doing your journey, and prayers to you. But if your prostate cancer, I'm assuming you're 100% for it right now. I'm just assuming. You can tell me yes or no. But once that prostate cancer goes into remission, they take that 100 and they give you the residuals from that.
Yes.
Just as long as you continue to submit your private treatment, because if you're 100%, I'm sure you have a routine future exam on it, and they send you for an exam every 6 months to a year to see if it's still active or not. As long as you're active, it will stay 100%. But So just keep your private oncologist and urologist notes uploaded to your VBA portal
Yes.
so that they can see.
All right, let's go. Keep going here. Grace says, natural. So, how long are biopsies good for when it comes to claims?
So me honestly with biopsies, the newer the better.
Mhm.
But because you don't want to use something that's outdated to be able to prove something that you have currently, because sometimes they'll send you for labs. I'm not gonna say a biopsy, but they can send you for things that to be able to substantiate. This is where we talk about the baseline.
Mhm.
They may do something like that. They may do, it depends on what type of biopsy we're talking about, because anything dealing with cancer, you're going to automatically have biopsies. If there's new evidence, you're going to have CT scans, you're going to have MRIs, you're going to have something, especially labs. You're going to have those, and you're going to have medical evidence to support those biopsy findings. So me personally, I can't say how long, but
Mhm.
the newer the evidence, the better. It would help with service connection.
Hope that helped, Grace. I thought it was still optional for the AI medical scribe. Right now it's still, but it's going to be for every provider is going to have the AI medical scribe just for documentation purposes. I always use secure messaging. I read all my doctor's note. Awesome, San Diego. Quick question. Does the VA round up? Yes. Yes, Pammer, it does. OTC secure messaging will work if the provider was ever in clinic. My appointment have been moved back so many times. Now I'm just getting some filling for my appointments. Wow. Remember, AI will and occasionally hallucinate. So y'all better check what is being subscribed. Exactly. This is why I say go back and read what the doctor has approved for your note. 83.6 goes down to 80. It's 84.7. It goes up to 85. So if it's under the 84, then it goes back down to the 80. If it's over the 5, then it goes up. Okay. Jason, send your secure message to the nurse on your PAC team. Yes, the nurses usually. So, what is your position on veterans taking specific clinical evidence into their CMP for the examiner to review? Good question, H. Vet.
I say, this is what I would say. If you have when you file your claim, you need to submit all your evidence to the VBA to support your claim, and you can take it with you to the exam. Now, it's how it's supposed to go. When you submit it to the VBA, the VSR is supposed to, when they order the examination, depending on what type of examination it is, because if it's a complex medical review, the rater has to order it. But they are supposed to attach any type of evidence to the exam request to be able for the examiner to look at prior to you coming. Does that always happen?
Nope.
So it would be best that, yes, you always should take evidence, and they're going to tell you, well, yeah, we can look at it, but submit that evidence to the VBA for them to review also.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I would have been called the White House via complaint hotline. Where would the receive a claim or reference number submit that ROI? Okay, I guess you were responding to somebody else. All right. I don't recall TEM summer percentage. I don't either. I don't remember anything. They definitely round up.
Yes, they will round up to 80. Anything over 84 point. So if you have 84.4, no.
Yeah. I don't think
Percent.
they have no
It's
point.
gonna
Nothing.
say 80. Anything over, y'all go back to school, ain't on the 10th. Anything at 5, it goes up. Anything under 5 rounds down.
I'm starting to use secure messaging after my appointment since the progress notes doesn't say anything that was mentioned in my MH appointments. I don't want to have the risk of being reduced. Now, when it comes to the MH appointments, they put limited information in there. They put limited information. So some things that you are saying is I think it's up to the provider, and I'll leave it up to Craig because he's in that space. But I think sometimes therapists don't put everything in there; they put certain things. So you would have to talk to your provider about what they're putting in there, what they're not. Okay.
Why do you feel that you will be reduced based off of? Well, okay, so
Gotcha.
when you go for reductions, this is how reductions happen. I know this is a little off topic, but since
Go ahead.
they right, so reductions happen when this. So I'm gonna use mental health as a example.
Hmm.
So mental health, before we propose to reduce, you have to have 2 mental health exams that show improvement. The first time when you go and you ask for an increase, say you are 50% and it's under 5 years, and you go and now your symptomology says you want a 30. The first time we will see you at the 50 and tell you, hey, you based on this examination, we show that you show improvement. Now, if you come back and you're still under the 5 years, and the second one shows you still at 30, it will be a proposal to reduce. So let me tell you why. When the examiner asks you certain symptoms under the symptomology, there's a criteria for 10, 30, 50, 70, 100. If you say no to certain symptoms, that is what gets you reduced under mental, right? When you go to when you go for migraines and they give you a 30, if it doesn't, if the examiner says less frequent, they're going to propose to reduce you from 30 to 0. Because either you said, oh, I don't have them as much as I used to, or you said there's evidence to show that, your migraines have improved or something like that. So they will give you a 0. So it's all about wording and what you say to that examiner based on what they check on that DBQ. And that's how typically proposal, unless it's like the cancers and stuff like that. Those are temporary 100s. They don't stay unless it becomes terminal.
All right. J Law Jr. said, I'm service connected for colon cancer still in an active phase. Will it affect any secondary claims? Great question.
What type of residuals are you having? So if you're service connected for colon cancer, right? Technically, we can't give you anything that's caused by the colon cancer while it's still active, because that's pyramiding. So you would have to, the residuals would come after if you go into remission.
Got that, J Law Jr.?
Now, if you have GERD, something like that, then you could possibly, do that as a secondary. But anything like IBS or something like that, it's going to be tied to the colon cancer.
Colon cancer. Keep a copy of everything you submit. Well said, Craig. Complain of losing balance and got a brain scan. The VA doctor will not give a diagnosis of vertigo.
Well, vertigo is a ear, so you will have to probably go see a ENT specialist.
Hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button.
This is why I can't talk for anyone else, but this is why I keep private insurance. I know it's expensive. I don't rely on the VA 100% for my care because I can't say what I want to say, but I always go out to the VA
Mhm.
I mean, to the outside world. Or I specifically say, hey, I want to go to community care,
Mhm.
and they send me.
Yeah.
That is a choice, So you guys don't always have to depend on the VA,
Yeah.
but like I said, everybody can't afford, these insurance is private insurance is way expensive, and they're getting where they don't cover as much as they used to either.
Or yeah.
You need a claim for secondary to migraines to the colon cancer?
Mm,
Or what is it?
the vertigo.
What is
I think he was talking about the losing balance and even a brain scan. The VA did not give a diagnosis of the vertigo.
so
And
what are
he
you
wanted
trying to claim the
sec-
migraines to?
secondary too. Yeah. OT say hit the like, y'all. Hit the like. If your mental health is steady, don't worry too much about it, Bluebird. As long as
Yeah.
you don't stop or an increase, you good. So Craig right here says, we are very vague with notes for treatment because we do not want the client to incriminate themselves in the court of law, which was my thinking. So it's very limited on transcription based on what they told us in confidence. If you haven't been realized when it comes to mental health records, you got to go through the ringer just to get something from your mental health provider. So I think what if you are looking for something in there, it is not in there because they don't put too many details in there,
I
right?
remember when I first started working before I was VBA, I worked for VHA, and I was actually a supervisor over the medical records. And they used to we would have to send a note to the mental health provider requesting for them to sign off saying the veteran could have their mental health records.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, they were like, well, we don't want to. Why don't you want them to know what are you writing in these notes for the veteran not to be able to get there? So it was like a big thing. We
Craig
would,
said you don't want them to incriminate themselves.
yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes they talk too much. Secondaries are not tied to cancer. Craig said from the
Well,
therapist. Go ahead, natural.
well, if it's not tied to the cancer, then if you have the information to file for the secondaries, go ahead and do it.
Mhm. From a therapist perspective, we are only required to report when someone is going to harm themselves, harm someone else, or subpoenaed by the PA. So understood. So this is
Yeah,
why you guys are
yeah.
wondering why everything is not in your medical records. Craig here tells you in detail why it isn't that way. Okay? Because sometimes y'all talk too much. And guess what? OT has become a member. Thank you, OT, and welcome to being a rising voice. Y'all, welcome OT to being a member. All right, prosecuting attorney. Yes, I know what that means. You don't want to go down there and talk to them people and them. Is mental health DBQ and IMO dated December 18th, 2025 too old for submission now? Wait, you've been holding on to you've been holding on to a DBQ?
It's a private DBQ.
Is it a private one? And when was it signed? Let me wait for your comment.
They said December 18th, 22. No, it's less than a year.
Less than a year, yeah.
Yeah, it's less than a year. You can say it. Hopefully.
OT said exactly. I do the same through my wifey insurance.
Exactly.
He said it is a private DBQ.
Yes. It's not too late. It's under a year.
Should we only list the dates with the request for medical release forms?
You talking about the dates you want someone to
Want
have?
someone to know the records, get the records?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes y'all give too
You
much.
don't want to give them
Everything.
Sometimes, guys, we give too much information. And speaking from the Raider, with my Raider hat on, I look at everything. And sometimes I found stuff that I ain't want to find.
Mhm.
And because here's the thing, we always tell you guys, you don't have to raise a claim for something you're service connected. If we find something, we can raise it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And
Say it
take
again, Natural. Say it again so they can get it.
Just be mindful of what you
Cover up
submit.
these gray hairs because y'all be sending me, honey. Y'all be sending me. Anyway, Grace, if you're filing on the Terra, look up PubMed for specific conditions and preload VBMS with it and keep copies. Listen, and I know Natural said this the other day. Oh, wait. Also, should I submit blue button reports that contain info beyond the 1218 of the DBQ IMO?
We're gonna pull your VAMC records.
They're going to pull them themselves, so you don't have to submit those. They're going to look in there now.
When you submit your 526 easy, you just list where you've had treatment at. And if you say VAMC, we will pull them. If you give a private provider, we're going to send you a 4142 for you to sign, which is like a release of information.
Yeah.
If you have private treatment records, then just upload those with the private DBQ.
He said even for an FDC, fully developed claim.
Okay, do you want me to tell you? Because even if you send that private DBQ and the independent MO, the same rules still apply. You had to have something to happen in service. We have to be able to relate whatever you're claiming to service. So just because you went and paid someone to say, yeah, all this is due to service doesn't automatically give you a service connected because you have a private DBQ. And oh, by the way, the first mental health DBQ has to be done by a VA provider, a VA, not provider, examiner.
Examiner.
You can submit it, but
you're gonna go to a CMP exam.
Pretty much, probably. But the evidence has to be able to what's on that D because typically the private ones will say you're 100%. So we'll have to look. I mean, and depending on the diagnosis and what the IMO says, there's a lot of factors into private DBQs on why we accept them and why we don't.
Vet teacher has a question. I'm submitted a supplemental claim for a jaw surgery. I was denied in 1993. Now that I've been diagnosed with TMD and I bite the scar in my mouth and got treated for it, do you think there's a chance I'll be connected?
TMJ, you got TMJ?
TMJ, try jumping on that.
Well, it's transmandibular disorder. That's why he put TMD. But it's TMJ. TMJ is it's the same thing. But you had a jaw surgery while you were in service?
Were you in service, vet teacher?
And why did they deny you? Or do you remember?
Do you remember why they denied it? Wait for it. See if I'm gonna answer. In the meantime, while we wait for that teacher, the reason why he said yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of. Did you have a broken? What was the surgery due to? Because that's
You're welcome,
weird.
Aaron White. You're welcome. While we're waiting for vet teacher, the reason why I want you guys to be very careful when you are submitting too much evidence is because National and FF have told you if you were younger, your parents were in the military, all those documents are going to be made available to the rater. They're in Genesis. If you were younger, whenever you was a child, you were raised in a military installation, those documents are going to be available. Okay.
And sometimes that gives us pre-existing conditions.
Yes. So be
you had an underbite?
Yes,
Okay.
this was an elective surgery, he said.
Oh, that's why.
That's why.
Elective is an elective.
Yeah. It wasn't an injury or an event.
It was elective.
It was elective. Yeah.
That's why they denied it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can roll the dice and try again. You
Yeah.
know, you have a diagnosis now. You can roll the dice. You know, you might get one of them examiners and be like, "Yes, due to that."
Roll it. I'll roll it. I will roll it.
I would too.
Yeah, I would roll
I
it.
ain't even gonna. I ain't even
Ain't
gonna
gonna hold
lie
you,
to
but I'll roll it.
you. Yep,
I'll
I
roll that
would.
dice right there because you can get an examiner that's probably going to be on your side. Roll it, that teacher. Okay. If we submit all associated medical records when we submit a new claim, why does the VA still want us to complete a 4142
Because you told us you have outside
medical
treatment
record?
records.
Mm-hmm.
You can sign a 5103, or you can send a lay statement and say 4138 saying, "Hey, I've submitted all even though I've notated that I've been treated on the outside by a
Mm-hmm.
private provider, I have submitted all relevant records. No 4142 is needed."
Mm-hmm. You can do that if you have a fully developed claim. He said they never got my records. The records say I said I couldn't eat well.
They never got what do you mean? They never
Your service records? Which records did they not get? Let's see here. Preload VBMS. I have no clue how to do that. Now I have the pub research and VA training letter, environmental hazard. Gracie, yeah. She is sending you out there.
Gracie, what are you trying to
Gracie,
claim? Because he gonna send you.
he gonna say you down rabbit hole. Oh, he said dental records. They don't have his dental
From service.
from service. Yeah.
So you had this surgery while you were on active duty?
Yes, I think he said he had it while he was in service. It was elective. Yes.
They should have had you. They should have developed for all your records, because we're supposed to get dental and medical. Now, even if it was elective, you gotta hold on. Let me tell you. This is the veteran natural, not Raider natural. This is veteran natural for content purposes. You could spin it and say the reason why
Germany. Okay, go ahead.
the reason why you had the surgery is because you could not eat.
Mm-hmm.
And you developed, you was losing weight and XYZ. So you had to have this. Don't say I elected. You say I had to have the surgery because it was causing other health issues. So I had to have the surgery in order to fix an underbate. Now I have developed TMJ from the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
You got to word it.
Run it back. Run back this live. Run it back. Retired after 20 years in 1989. How do I get info into Terra?
How do I get info? You want to know how do you want info on Terra?
Qualify for Terra? What?
Yeah, what Terra? What was so how Terra works, guys, is just like this. Certain eras have automatic terrors, like Vietnam have Agent Orange. They have, some was exposed to mustard gas, some was exposed to tear gas. Gulf War, we have, of course, Iraq, Afghanistan, the burn pits, stuff like that. The other terrors we look at are MOS based. It's not the MOS, it's the duties performed under the MOS and the toxic exposures that you were possibly exposed to. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. My son came in. He scared me. So that's what you have to look at. That's how we become. That's how we. So like Navy people, we have asbestos, and on the Navy ships, the veterans were taught how to do firefighting training. So we look at the PFAS, the foam that from the firefighting training.
Mm-hmm. I was waiting for that teacher to see if he had anything else or she had anything else, but all right, guys.
Boy.
Almost made it. Okay, that teacher did respond. Give me 1 second here. Thank you, ladies. My denial letter notes the same TMJ issues I'm having now.
And that's why you probably need to go back.
I am doing a denial letter on Sunday evening. If you have a denial letter that you want us to go over, I want you to redact your denial letter, meaning that I only want you to give me the portion of the denial letter. Do not give me anything else besides the denial portion. Okay. And I want you to send that, and we're going to go live on Sunday with the raters, and they are going to go through your denial letters individually. Okay. If you miss your denial, then you're going to have to play it back. But that's what I want to do. So you guys, even if it's another person denial and you have the same issue, that you will be, it would help you with your denial. Let me know how does that sound, and if you guys are interested in that. Let's go here first. Marine diesel fuel oil solvents. How do I update my Terra memo? I daily use my degreasers and chemicals you can't use today.
You don't update your Terra memo. What you would do is when you submit your claim, you would say, depending on the claim, what it is you're trying to claim, you would say, what you just said to us. You would say, hey, based on my use of degreasers and whatever type of chemical it was, that is banned or no longer in use now, I've developed blah, 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 blah. And then the rater or the VSR will update your Terra memo if it doesn't already cover these things right here.
This is my email, HerVetVoice@gmail.com. That's where you're going to submit your redacted memo. If you send PII to my email, I'm going to automatically delete it. I'm not even going to look at it. I'm going to delete it. Yes, my Gmail is secured, but if you send PII, then it's going to be deleted. Okay?
We say that, and we give people's whole
And you
social.
guys still do it. Do it. All right. Denial Sunday is going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. That way, if we have a lot of denials, we have time to go through them. Okay? 7 p.m. Eastern Standard, between 7 and 7:30. It depends. But we're going to do it Sunday evening. So that way we can have ample time from 7 to probably 10, a 3-hour span. So you guys can get your denial letters. You can get answers from Natural and FF. And if you send it in time, I'm able to go through them and separate them so that way we can talk about it and have the information readily available to you, because I like to be prepared before we come up here. Okay. So if you have a denial letter, take a picture of it with your phone, screenshot it, cut it out, send it to my email. Let me know, what did you apply? What did you apply for your disability? And then we'll go over the denial. Okay. Let me know. I'm not going to call your name. I'm not going to disclose who you are. I'm not going to do any of that. I just want the denial portion of your letter. I hope you guys got it. The denial portion. That's it. Yes, Bluebirds, I do have yours. This is my email. Send it to, if you have to redact it, if you send me any PII, I'm automatically deleting it from my email. Sounds like a plan for Sunday's show. Yes. Just the narrative. Just the narrative, y'all. Just the narrative. So I don't care if it's urinary dysfunction, mental health, FSAD, erectile dysfunction, whatever it is. send the narrative portion. Okay. And guess what? We have another member. Thank you, Nadia, for becoming a member to my channel. Thank you. You all are great. Yes, definitely interested. Send it, guys, so we can be prepared, so I can get it over to Natural and FF, and we can analyze and talk about the denial portion. Okay. If it's in our decision letter, Tara concede, does that have weight towards a cancer claim?
So if you had any type of toxic exposure, like I said earlier about the Gulf War, the burn pits, JP8, JP5, all the, chemicals or whatever that some of us are exposed to while in service, automatically terror is going to be conceded, right? But there are certain eras that certain things, certain conditions are excluded. Now, it is not up to the VBA to determine the connection, the nexus with the terror. It goes for an examination, and the examiner tells us with medical literature to back it up if it is due to the toxic exposure that you were exposed to in service. When we give you a grant, you're just gonna see that it was granted due to toxic exposure. If we deny it, we will tell you that we conceded it. We'll tell you that we ordered an exam, but it was not linked to the terror.
Mm-hmm. All right, here goes FF. Hey, FF, you're right on time. We're doing it. We're doing it.
Hi, FF.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey.
Jeez, okay.
All right, so let's see here. Looking forward to the denial portions. FF, we were just talking about denial Sunday. I am going to create a PDF of denials, so that way they can send the narrative portion of their denials like we did before. So that way they can go over it. We discussed today secondary conditions and how the changes are taking place and what they need. So I think it would be substantial for them to understand what the denial is saying and what they need going forward when it comes to their secondary claims.
Okay.
If
your letter is old school from 1993, that's fine. Just make sure that you redact any PII.
That's 1993.
Yeah, those didn't have favorable findings, right?
No,
No, they did. Those are the ones that's all bunched up together.
Okay.
Great, Natural. Thank you. You have to have a terror, but they never say what that was.
Sometimes, I can only speak for me. When I deny something for terror, I will say what it is on my favorable findings.
Okay.
Not all raters do that. They do the
Yeah.
little can checks and go on about their business, but I don't do that.
I'll put like your location, like if it's a lot of stuff, like if they have I don't know, MOS exposures and it's just a lot.
Plethora. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
but for the
say-
most part, long narratives and
Yeah.
a good favorable finding, so you have an idea which exposure was being conceded, because those are binding. So we just have to make sure it's the correct favorable finding.
So I have a question here that I held on to. It says, how do you know if the VA or the contractor examiner is documenting all of the information that the raters are saying that you need? I understand that they can send it back to the contractor for clarification, but the veteran has no proof that all his concerns are addressed at the CMP examination.
FF, you can have that one. I've been answering for an hour and 59 minutes.
You want me to read it again, FF?
I don't know. She may be having some problems.
I think she went mute. Hold on. Let's add her to the stage here. FF, you there?
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is insane.
Go ahead.
Did you hear the question?
I heard some of it.
Okay, let me read it again. Hold on, let me go back.
I gotta get a new phone. We're zip lining, and they tell you don't bring your phone, but I had to get my video, and my phone said today.
Okay, it says, how do you know if the VA or the contractor examiner is documenting all the information these raters are saying you need? I understand that they can send it back to the contractor for clarification, but the veteran still has no proof that all his or her concerns are addressed at the C&P examination.
Yeah. Well, what I like to say happens is everybody is doing their job out of good faith. So when it comes to the examiner, they're reviewing all of the information that we sent. They're listening to the veteran and when you all give them your concerns. And then hopefully we sent over accurate information to the examiner so that they could properly do their job. In the event something happens and a piece of evidence is missing, we're going to look in the file because you gave us your personal statement. You're going to fill in the gap just in case the examiner or the rater missed something. But as far as knowing 100% that your evidence was reviewed, we do have the evidence list that's in your decision. Now, sometimes evidence gets missed. But if you know for sure you submitted a log and you don't see it mentioned in your narrative and you don't see it mentioned in the evidence section of your decision letter, then what I would do, you fill out another form and you say, hey, and we're assuming that this is a denial, but you would fill out the form, hey, I don't agree. You overlooked my log. And that way we can review the decision for you. Again, we just assume everyone is working in good faith, but we're all human, right? So if we miss something, just bring it to our attention. And if the rater goes through the file when they get it back from the examiner, and it's like, I have this here, we sent it over. We are able to send that back for clarification. It, takes a little longer, but we are able to send that back because we want to make sure the examiner has everything they need so they can give us complete rationale for whatever your concerns are.
All right, great answer. RMC said that's a love and basketball letter. If you have an intent to file of a year ago and you receive a denial, Terra conceded because the chemicals were not in the Terra memo, what is next to preserve your ITF when you change theories?
Well, one, how do you know that it wasn't in the Terra memo? And two, if the intent to file was a year ago, and when was the rating decision made? Because the rating decision depends when the rating decision was done and when you filed the supplemental with the new theory of entitlement would determine if the ITF date would be preserved.
Somebody said, look at this. FF, my therapist, is in the house. Y'all just love her, don't you?
I'm going to quit coming on here.
No, you stay. I'm sorry.
No.
I have been terrible lately. Thank you so much.
I'm going to quit coming on here because y'all make me feel
But
like
you
I'm
know
the
what? Let me just tell you about it. When you're not here, they ask a million questions. Is Natural coming? Where's Natural? When FF is not here, I get emails. Why was FF not here tonight? I had a specific question for FF. Y'all not here right now. Many have been out for over 25 years and got out without direction with clarity for claims. Trust me, unlike in today's time, BDD and the internet and vet community platforms such as this. Thank you, Grace. Thank you.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
An ITF is not needed after the denial. The denial date is the new effective date in 1 year.
That's not correct. Back it up. Back it up. That who said that? Are you a raider? Because that's
Just go
not
ahead
true.
and rephrase it natural. Mhm.
See, that's why they be one. Listen, this is the stuff that just burns me because don't say that no. If anytime that we deny something, you have a year from the date that we deny it to file a supplemental claim. If that claim is filed within 1 year of that denial and it gets approved, we will go back because that claim was continuously pursued.
Mhm.
If you do it 1 year and 1 day, then the new effective date would be the date of the supplemental. We can't go back because you missed the 1 year window.
Mhm.
So that statement is not true.
He said the rating decision was in January of 2026. The ITF was November of 2024.
So you're still in your 1 year. So if you file a supplemental, then if it gets approved, then they will go back to your ITF date.
All right, let's see here. Gracie said, which form will we use? The 4138.
For what?
Oh, this is for the disagreement if we don't have all the information.
Mhm.
Yeah,
See,
you can use the 4138 or you can put it on the 0995 and you're just going to say that you disagree with the decision that was made. Evidence was overlooked. And this is going to be kind of what we discussed, I want to say about 2 weeks ago, regards with the higher level review
Mhm.
versus just saying, I don't agree. And your decision will probably get done a lot faster.
Natural, you just explained something that I could not grasp. So elite. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
And you can file an ITF on a supplemental also, just FYI. You can file an ITF whenever. An ITF can come whenever. So it doesn't matter if it's a new claim or a supplemental. It would be, you can file it.
I'm filing a supplemental claim for OSA secondary to my service-connected sinusitis and rhinitis. My nurse practitioner wrote me a Nexus, but forgot to include peer medical review.
I'm muting.
Okay. Well, what we can do, if you've already filed the claim for the OSA, and well, let's try to see if your nurse can go ahead and resubmit it. They can say like an addendum, and they can attach the articles they use to reach their medical opinion, to reach their conclusion, because we will need that for it to be sufficient, because we need to see where the rationale is coming from. But they can attach an addendum for the medical opinion that they've already submitted for you. So it's okay.
For the peer review articles, did she cite the peer review articles in the IMO? If she cited the peer review articles in her medical opinion, then you don't need to send the peer review articles. If she cited it inside, if she did not, then if you know which one she used, just go find them and upload them.
All right.
But for that to be a valid MO, she has to have medical literature to back up her medical nexus for that.
Mhm.
What they say, I remind them of what?
You remind them of, even though you've seen it. Natural reminds me of my big sister when we were kids. It's her way or the highway.
No, that ain't me.
No.
I base my stuff off of facts. Anything I say to you guys is based off of what I know. It's just I don't like when people put out misinformation.
Right.
And that's what I try to, that's why I came on with her vets, because she is like that also. She wants the correct information given to veterans. And I don't try to, be mean or anything to anyone, but I want the correct information for veterans, because the wrong information will stop a veteran from filing a claim, or they will think they have no other way to validate what they're trying to do, right? So that's why I'm like, I'm straightforward when it comes to filing a claim. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna tell you what you want to hear. I'm the wrong rater to do that. I'm gonna tell you the facts and what I think. I'm gonna tell you what can support it and what cannot. I just don't believe in, just oh, it's gonna be okay. I don't believe in that. I'm gonna tell you. I'm just direct. I'm sorry. I'm just like that. I'm not gonna. I just can't do it. That just ain't me. And if I do that, it's gonna be wrong, because I'm not gonna be able to be okay with what I say. If I water down the information and just say, oh well, it's like this, and that's never been me. One, even before I got this job, and two, sometimes you gotta be a little stern with veterans, because veterans are hard-headed. And so this is why we have the perfect balance.
Yep. FF brings
FF is the more serene. I'm like, I'm the drill sergeant,
and not just the drill sergeant. FF brings the therapy after drill sergeant.
yeah, man. I ain't about to.
He said, I sent the peer review, but she didn't cite it. Oh.
So here's the thing. When y'all get independent MOs and private DBQs, they still have to coincide with what the VA holds the VA contractors and the VA examiners under. Your medical opinion has to have medical literature to support the rationale, especially if it's a grant. Because it just looks like if a person is, how someone says, just you basically saying it but with no substance. Right? So that's what, because we send it back, right, FF? If we have something and it doesn't have the medical literature to support it, we send it back. So
the rationale has to be there.
Yeah, your peer review article is good that you sent it, but keep in mind, when you get someone to do a medical opinion for you or a private DBQ, it still has to align with the laws that the VA has. And it has to have medical literature to substantiate the medical nexus.
All right, let's keep going here. See what we got. Y'all, hit the like button. Hit the like button for your veteran buddies. Hit it. I like this channel because you ladies are sweet and straightforward. 100%. Natural. Say it a little longer for the people in the back. You keep preaching past the offering plate.
I'm trying to tell you.
Your frankness, natural. Somebody says my Leo daughter's personality. So the real.
How'd you know?
So Gemini said, my December 2025 lumbar strain CMP, the examiner didn't measure or touch my body for range of motion, said there was another way. I was an increase. What do I do? The lumbar strain was continued at 0% from 1990.
Wow. First of all, the real Sir Gemini, I am sorry. Let me say this. You should have at least, if you say you have pain anywhere on that, you should have at least gotten 10% on the increase at least. Now, what you can do, because this is the one that had the denial in January, correct?
Yes.
So what you can do is file a notice of disagreement, and you explain to us, I say us because we are VBA, and you say, during my CMP examination, the examiner did not have me do ranges of motion. He told me it was another way. Another way, I don't know which way it was. However, I never performed my ranges of motions. I would like to have another examination because that exam did not depict my current medical situation or disability, right? At the minimum, if a veteran's ranges of motions are normal and they say anywhere on there that they have pain, I give them painful motion, which automatically gives them a 10%.
Yeah. From 90 though, that's a whole
That's crazy. That's crazy work
20
right
plus
there.
years, and you had 0% for that long.
Well, back then they rated crazy. I don't know.
Yeah. Anything on that, FF? Nothing?
No, I absolutely agree. It is unfortunate. I'm not sure what other way they were going to get his measurements without using the equipment. But yeah, just as Natural stated, you'll fill out your notice of disagreement and you can get another exam because, again, painful motion, some type of functional loss warrants a minimum of 10%. So sorry you went through that, but we'll have to get you another exam is what it sounds like. That is insufficient. I'm not even sure what they wrote.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Back, the real Sir Gemini, so you can get everything Natural and FF just said. Okay. Veterans are stubborn. I have assisted several who want to submit evidence that would have hurt a claim more than anything. So I agree. And please help the raters out by highlighting the applicable pieces of articles. Some of these articles are really long. They ain't finna read it. Hello, all. Natural is raw and straight with no chaser. Take it or leave it, but she gonna keep it 100.
Indeed.
That should have been 20%, now 0. I have 3 Vera conferences coming up. Oh, wow.
20.
This has been your best video so far. It has been the most informative and interactive, all substance and no filler. Well, thank you, Bluebird. But I've been doing it for a while. We've got a few more substantial videos. Yes, just filed a supplemental claim for GERD 1 day before the 1-year deadline. My issue is only complain of symptoms once in service. So my issue is chronicity of care. You know,
That's the third element. Yes, ma'am.
Third element.
Do you have any chronicity now? Do you have any care now?
Yeah. Have you been taking any medicine? Did you have any dysphagia? Those are going to be questions asked about your GERD. The
new way we rate GERD, I don't like it.
Yeah, dysphagia.
Because it always equals 0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you ain't had that, you ain't had that. It's
unless you had it rated with IBS in the past. It's Have you seen anything over 0 with GERD, FF? Under the new way?
Not, I don't think independently, because, they're cross paths sometimes with the IBS. But no, I don't think I've seen anything.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Yeah. I don't like the new way, but hey.
I'm taking notes. Okay. The Flint, my supplementals were all denied because of no new and relevant info, but I uploaded new x-ray scans and personal statements. I can't see what files I uploaded after the denials, thinking about an HLR.
Did they give you a new exam based off of that evidence that you submitted? And he said new x-rays and personal. Did they give you any, did you go to an exam after you uploaded this? Or did they send it straight to the rating board? Because I see that happen a lot.
It probably went straight to the rating board because no new and relevant. Even if you have the new x-ray scans, if it's just more x-rays of the previous diagnosis or issues, it's new, but it wouldn't be relevant because it's not bringing any material information. It's just more of what they already had.
Mm-hmm.
I would have still sent it for an exam and a medical opinion.
She only treated the GERD with over-counter meds. That was it. No chronicity of care.
Sandra.
If you write it up a different way, because lack of a formal treatment plan doesn't mean you don't have a treatment plan.
Correct.
So it just depends on how you write it up. If you had been taking these, over-the-counter medicine since you got out, you just have to, create or connect it in a different way. But lack of formal treatment doesn't mean you didn't have any treatment. So when you're writing it out and doing your personal statement, just make sure you say it that way.
That you was taking the over-counter meds. I don't know.
That will get an exam, you don't think?
It will get an exam, but the medical opinion is the problem. Because they're going to say no chronicity of care since leaving service. And it depends on how long she's been out of service and how long the symptomology has been going on.
Maddie said everyone needs to run back the last night live. 1,000 subscribers, some great info in there too. We talked really good last night in the last live. We had some good information in there as well.
Was I there?
Yes, you were there.
Yes, you were there.
was there too. Explain the generalized lay statement denial language. That has driven me nuts.
Let me say, some raters just do context. What I mean is what the system spits out, and that's all. They don't go into details. So it drives us nuts too. When we read those narratives, I be like, what? So typically, I'm gonna say me, and then FF, she can jump in whenever. When I do a denial, I look at if it's been like the veterans coming back, I'll look at all of the narratives and I just kind of summarize it, right? And my narratives be kind of long because I want you to understand why we keep denying you so that it's all, I'll say something like review of VA contract examination dated XYZ. The examiner noted this, and then I'll put the rationale. Then I'll drop down. I'll go, exam by exam, rating decision dated whatever, noted this, blah blah blah. I explain it in a way that you will be able to understand it, so that you can say, okay, this is why they denied. This is why they denied this. This is why they denied. In the favorable findings, I explain it, because if I just put a bunch of context in there, and then I give you a favorable finding, you're gonna be like, okay, well, why did they deny me? It drives me insane when I look at a narrative and it's not organized. It's just like all over the place. I'm like, they didn't put any thought into this rating at all, like the way that they wrote it to the vet. So I can understand the frustration of the vet, because as raters, we get frustrated too, because we now have to undo all those ratings and explain to you why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think, FF?
Yes. If they've applied maybe 3 or more times and it's for the same thing, I'll try to write it in a different way, just like you said, so that they understand what's happening. And I don't know if Bluebird 9903 meant like an actual lay statement as far as part of the evidence, but I do mention it in the narrative. And we're supposed to accept the lay statements on its face. We're supposed to accept it the way that you give it to us as credible, unless it goes against the evidence of record. So if you have a lay statement and maybe that's the reason, let's say you fail, there's no chronicity, the doctor, denied it because they said there is no nexus from the time that you fell to you being seen, once you were out of service. If your lay statement, you're telling us what happened, and then we have a letter from your buddy, we're supposed to accept that as it is if it goes with the record, the time, and the circumstances of your service.
Mhm.
What happens is when we're doing the rating decisions, a lot of raters just kind of look at what the examiner said.
Mhm.
And if the examiner says there's no chronicity of care, and again, I want you all to remember that a lack of evidence or a lack of formal treatment plan doesn't mean you didn't have treatment, okay?
Mhm.
So what they'll do is they'll take what the examiner said, and then they'll just go ahead and do the can checks and do the denial for no chronicity. That is not the way it's supposed to be done. Everything isn't documented in anyone's life. There are going to be things that happen, and maybe you didn't say anything, or maybe you told certain people. But the way that we evaluate the evidence is based off of, competent evidence, evidence from the doctors, lay evidence, if it's credible.
Mhm.
So when you get a blanket denial, they're kind of just going through it without giving any extra credibility to the lay statement. If that happens, we already know that we can fill out a notice of disagreement, and you're going to highlight or just simply type out, you all overlooked, or it wasn't taken into consideration, my lay statement. I don't know if you were being literal in this part, but I just kind of wanted to add that portion.
Thank you for that. Flint said no exams. Natural and FF, I've seen GERD rated higher when connected to acid reflux, but have you seen differences since the new GERD rating methodology?
You don't rate acid reflux separate from GERD.
Should I get a Nexus letter?
GERD. Wait, can you go back to that question? I'm
Are
sorry.
you talking about Craig's question?
Yeah.
I've seen GERD rated higher with connected.
Not under the new standard, but under the old one, acid reflux was a part of the symptomology.
Mhm.
But now it's based really off of the dysphagia and the strictures of the esophagus and stuff like that. So no,
Yeah.
I've seen a huge difference. But anyway, next question. I'm sorry. I just wanted to go back.
Flint is asking, should he get a Nexus letter? And that was because of the x-ray scans and personal statement was denied when he filed a supplemental claim.
So what I would say is on Sunday, send us send her vets, not us, not me and FF. Send her vets your denial letter, and then once we review it, then we'll be able to tell you yes or no. Because right now, if we tell you yes and we don't know all the meat and potatoes, it would be kind of in vain to tell you go do something, and then we got your denial letter and we read it and we'll be like, nah, you don't. It's really nothing you can do. Not saying that's your case, but if you have your denial letter, if you want to send it to her vets, and that can be one that we go over on what day you said, Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was service for 26 years. Great info. Thank you, Grace. Sandra, thank you. Can I file for a heart condition that may be in C file, myocardial something, and now seeing cardiologist and file as a new claim? Never claimed before. My brain is getting so much info from you ladies tonight. Maybe you have a heart condition in your C file.
If your service treatment records contain any type of heart condition while in service, and you had symptomology in service and you now have it, yes, then I would say file it. It's up to the examiner to tell us yes or no.
Yep. Craig said, y'all please listen to FF right now. She's talking about how your evidence to match so that it has more probative weight. This is a cheat code. We're giving them away every single night. Every single night. Is there any special way to submit a letter written by friends and family to the service member as evidence? The letter reflects back to the service member his state of mind and how probative would such letters be considered.
Oh, absolutely. Let me tell you something. Those letters that we got while we were deployed or we were in basic and AIT, and the letters you write home, child, that speaks to your state of mind, honey. Because I remember going to basic and I was sitting and they was doing all that rah, 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 rah. And I was like, Lord, what did I get myself into? And right there was a shift in my mindset, right? Because all of that, and so I would say absolutely, if you have those letters, you can submit that as evidence when you are trying to support your claim, because again, it speaks to your state of mind at the time. And you wrote home to family members and they wrote back, and they probably gave you some type of encouraging words to help you through that rough time. So absolutely, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you, Craig. If a veteran changes a theory of connection, does the effective date change too?
I think we answered this before, but
I think he must have left and came back.
Okay, so if you file within 1 year of your rating decision, it will not change your effective date. If you miss that 1 year window, it will change your effective date.
Yep.
It's called continuously pursuit of a claim.
Did we do a live on that?
I don't know. We done did so many.
So.
I think we did so many. Yeah. OT, absolutely. You can send your denial examples because we can go over. Great. I scanned them with the Frank envelopes. Don't send any PII. So if you are just coming in, we are doing denial letters on Sunday. Make sure to send them to my email, but make sure that you are only sending me the narrative portion of your denial. If you send me any PII, I'm going to discard of it, okay? Because I don't want that in my email and I don't want to have to deal with that. So I do have my Gmail set up as secure, but I want you guys not to send me any PII in my email, okay? You're the best natural, whatever Jason says, don't let them MFs get to you. You ladies are providing much needed information in the best community. Awesome.
Who is Jason?
I don't know who that is. Anyway, guys, we have been here for 2.5 hours. It was not my intent to make this video this long because I want veterans to be able to go back and listen to how to get through the secondary claims with the changes and what they need to apply, what they need to have, especially when it comes to your Nexus letters. If you are getting a Nexus letter in reference to the new secondary conditions, you're going to have to pay attention. I don't know how to say it so much. Read your Nexus letters before you pay. Read them. Read them. I don't know how to say this even more. When it comes to your private DBQs, and we did a live and FF was able to show us a good DBQ, bad DBQ, what it should have, what it shouldn't have. So you can go back and look at that as well. Make sure when the provider is filling out your DBQ that it's filled out in its entirety and you review it as well. just make sure that you look over everything before you submit it. Okay? Definitely make sure that you submit it. I already got them scrubbed. Thank you. Oh, Betty Bob, thank you so much for the fabulous information. Have a great weekend and rest well. Thank you so much for the great info. Like and subscribe, guys. Oh, we got a new member. Grace signed up to be a new member tonight as well. More information on the continuous pursuit. So I guess FF and Natural, we want to do a video on the continuous pursuit for the veterans.
We can do it. I was gonna ask if this, I'm seeing that this video was helpful to a lot.
Yeah.
So if y'all have any questions on things that y'all want us to go over, or ideas y'all want us to go over, please submit them to HerVet and her Gmail, because we do discuss what we're gonna come up with. But if we need to do something that we've already done to help, we do not mind. So
Yeah.
just drop them to her or drop them in the live and she'll write them down. And we will brainstorm on doing a new live on it.
Okay. WKW, I sent a personal statement on the wrong form, so they didn't count it towards my effective date. How can I get an exception?
A personal statement on the wrong form. You
You
wouldn't.
put on.
So your personal statement is considered a late statement. That's not considered unless you ask for a hearing or something like that. Then a personal, you would have had to actually submit a claim.
Mhm.
A late statement does not constitute a claim. You have to submit it on a form. If you're doing a supplemental, it would be a what's the form? 0995 and FF. What's the other
Because
one?
you can put the statement on the
4138.
4138 if it's
Yeah.
just a statement. So they
Yeah, but he said he submitted the statement on the wrong form, so they didn't use his effective. They denied his effective date.
Mhm.
But I
so he
think,
filed the claim on the wrong form, not necessarily
yeah,
the
Yeah,
personal
that's
statement.
what Greg is saying. Do you mean the statement in support of the claim on the wrong form? I think that's what he
yeah,
is. Yes. Yeah.
he probably, yeah,
Mhm.
because a late statement doesn't really constitute. You know,
Mhm.
it can constitute a notice of disagreement, but
Oh no, you dropped the link. Okay. You ladies are the best. Personally, I don't recommend Nexus letters. Veteran will most likely be scheduled a CMP exam, and there's your Nexus. Maybe veterans have a choice, so we don't knock it, but it's up to them, what they want to do. The 21-4138. All right, guys. So send me your denial letters. And I see my email is definitely climbing as I sit here looking at it. So I do see a couple of the denial letters already coming in. He said it was a continuous of a claim. It was a continuation of a claim.
so if you did a continuation of claim, then his next step would either have to be a higher level review, and if he did continuously pursue it, then the DRO will make that known, and then the RO, whoever gets it, will have to call the CUE and correct it if that's the case. But what you think, FF?
I'm with you. I'm not sure what they mean, so I can't properly answer it because a lay statement or anything in support of the claim doesn't constitute a decision or anything appearing to be a decision. So I don't know. Maybe we need to look at that one to see if they filed, within the 60 days of saying, "Hey, this is the wrong form."
Yeah.
Maybe
because
that
they're
took place.
supposed to. anytime you submit the wrong form, we're supposed to send you a development letter notifying you that we received a claim, but it was submitted on the wrong form.
Yeah. We're supposed to
Please
tell them that.
Put it on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can they send that one in? Maybe we can look at that one to see what the dates are. Maybe we got the.
Send that one in as well. Redact it and send it in. And we'll take out any medical stuff in there. But redact it and send it in, and we can take a look at it on Sunday. I'm going to create the thumbnail tonight before I go to bed for Sunday, so that you guys could turn your notifications on, so that you can know that we're here, and we will FF, do you want to do some peer review as well with the denials, or we just do denials without peer review? What do you think?
I can do some peer review.
Okay, all right.
We'll just link, and
Yeah.
then that way I'll have. Okay.
All right, that would work. So with your denials, we'll have some peer review as well, so you guys can use that as part of submitting it with your evidence. Now, thank you. See you all on Sunday night. Sent one in. So let me just put this disclaimer out here. If I get too many denial letters, I'm going to have to split it up in a different night. Okay. Do not come over here complaining that we did not get to your denial letter. Okay. We're going to get to them all, but it's just going to be in a different timing. So be kind. Okay. Be gentle. Give me some grace, because I'm only one person and we have to work this out so the veteran gets the information that they need to help them fix the errors with their claim. Okay. So if we don't get to your denial letter, that's why I'm doing it in a 3-hour span. So that way we have a lengthy amount of time to get through. Some letters are going to take longer than others. Okay. Some are going to take longer than others. So please be patient. Please be kind. Okay. And give us some grace. All right. I just want to put that disclaimer out there. All right. So we've been here for almost 3 hours. These ladies worked in the queue all day, and now they've come and given us another 3 hours of great information.
Yes, Natural. Thank you so much. You are awesome.
FF will be back on Sunday. So now you know what time we'll be here, and we'll just link behind the scenes so we can get prepared for the denial letters and get that rolling. Okay. Have an amazing weekend. If it's raining where you're at, please be safe. Make sure that you guys are kind to each other. And if there's a veteran that you know that this video would definitely help them, please share it with them. Please share it, because we know of the changes that happen when it comes to secondary claims and what is happening behind the scenes. All right. As always, thank you, Natural. Thank you, FF, for your time that you spend here with us to answer all our questions and to give us the information that we need, as well as they always say. Yes, awesome. We will see you guys back on Sunday night. I'm going to create the thumbnail before I go to bed. That means I'm going to sit right here and do this before I go to bed, so you guys could be ready for Sunday. If you have questions, I'm going to create the thumbnail so you guys can go ahead and also post questions under the thumbnail so we can get to those questions as well if time permits. Okay. Have a blessed weekend. Be safe and be kind, and take care, guys. We'll see you around on Sunday. All right. Bye. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
You're welcome. Good night.
You're not alone, you got a voice. Stand strong, stay informed.